Hello, can everybody hear me? That's one thing I did not check on this was the sound. Hang on, let me just... I'm not seeing any movement. Phone mic? Oh yes, okay, good. So you guys can probably hear me, right? Okay. So, as you can see, I've tried to go a little bit more professional. You can see I did a countdown. I have this screen here. Hopefully everybody's getting this. Hang on, let me check. You should be. Oh, it's a little bit behind. Yeah, I was warned that it's going to be a little bit, there's going to be buffering, but hopefully that won't matter too much. Yeah, see how we go, hey? Anyway, you know, in the end it all relies on the internet connection, and I do know that my internet connection isn't the best. But anyway, the reason I've gone doing all this fancy stuff for the live is because the last 2 months have just been so hard to keep up with editing. So I've chosen to try and get most of it done during the live, which you'll see when I start doing more. You'll see things starting to move. Now, that box, you're not coming up in that box. Yes, that box on the screen is meant to be a chat. Something tells me that's not working the way it should, but we'll ignore what doesn't work this time round and try and improve it in the future. So, yeah, let's just get up with the reading, hey? So, forget about technical, I'll change the screen. So here I am in the corner here, guys, if you missed that transition. And here you can see this is my other camera. And over here we have, oh, you can't see that. Well, to the right you have a card. Now, that's just a card, but what I'll be able to do through the live is change it. See that? Of course, it's only one card at a time, but that will come in handy when tarot comes along. It's not so much for Lenormand, but I can put the cards here anyway, and I will put the screen up when I start explaining on the what's this thing behind me called? On the fridge. On the fridge. Or maybe it would be better just to do it here. We'll see how we go, because I'm going to try and do stuff while facing the camera. Since I have the screen in front of me here, it's going to be a little easier for me to tell what's what here. So let's give it a go, hey? So let's start. First of all, as usual, we'll start with the Astro card briefing. So for October, this is for October, by the way, guys. Sorry, forgot to say. I know it's almost over the month, but yeah, we've still got at least a week left in the month. Something could still happen then. And of course we can see, because if you've been following me, you'll know that the Astro card reading was done in March 22 this year. So we can still see how close the prediction was and what's happened this month that fits that prediction. So we'll start with Mew as always. So his 3 cards were Cross, Woman, Clouds. Now I'm going to, they're up, you can see them here, can't you? Yeah. I'll just take them down for talking purposes. You see that all right, guys? Yep. This way. It's reverse. Cross, woman, clouds. Okay. So this month looks like it may not be that pleasant unless the cross simply represents fate in this case. Then it could be Mew realizing his true fate is with Gulf. That's supposing that this is Gulf here. But also feeling confused and uncertain about how it will be with the clouds. If the cross represents burden or suffering, then this month would be spent either longing for Gulf to be with him or to leave his mind and stop torturing him. I wrote this in 22 March, remember? And it could be a very stressful, challenging time for him. So that's thinking that the woman is indeed Gulf. If the woman is more his current partner, if that is even a real thing, then that could be also, I wouldn't say it's Tool. I never feel comfortable saying the woman is Tool in this dynamic, but it would be Mew in that case. It would be Mew's feminine side, which I suppose has to be activated in order for these to even work. So it would be that he's confused about, let's just say his current situation, he'd be confused about it. And this confusion would be a burden on him because he doesn't know why he's so confused, while on the other hand, he's so sure of himself, let's say. Okay, so that's for Mew. So let's, hang on, so let me just go over the meaning. So cross woman is can mean burdened, tolerant, faithful to this person. Woman clouds can mean confused about someone. We're just saying someone, but obviously whoever this woman is. And cross clouds can mean uncertainty, causes suffering, uncertain sacrifices, so making a sacrifice without being certain that it's worth it. Suffering from mental health issues as well, such as not being fully healed from his burnout, let's say. Stress affecting your mood, or suffering because of difficult people. So, you know, there's a few different things that those cards can mean. All right, so we'll leave it at that for now for Mew's review. I'll put these back up here again. Like that, okay. And I have my cards here. And let's start drawing cards. So this is for October for Mewsuppasit. So hello there, little deck. Can you please tell us what is in store for Mewsuppasit for the rest of this month, and what has been happening this month already, please, for Mewsuppasit. Okay, I'm going to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoop. Okay, there's the first one. 7, 8. Okay. All right, so we'll make that the center card, which is Clover. Little luck, a little bit of luck can be very unpredictable. I'd say that really fits with his life right now. You know, things may be seeming to go well on the outside because of luck coming his way with a lot of things, like getting to be brand ambassador well, no, sorry, I shouldn't say brand ambassador, getting to represent new companies and things like that. But it's unpredictable. So it means that this luck could come to a crashing halt any time, really. But this can also be related to serendipitous encounters, which could be related to the time he may be able to spend with somebody in private, perhaps. We'll just say that much. Okay. All right, let's get the other cards out. So the way I usually do this, we start with the top. I'm doing this in reverse, so we go this. Nope, that doesn't look right. Nope, it is that way. Okay, for some reason when I practiced this, it was the other way around. All right, that way, down there, make sure it's the right way. No reverse in Lenormand, in case you don't know and you're new here. Fill in the corners. Okay, so that'll be our 9 cards for Mew. Put these cards over here for now. So, we already know what the center card is, which is what all these cards will basically be around, themed about. And it's luck today. Okay, so let's see what the cover card, which is this first card up here, is about. Oh, we have Bear. Now, that's interesting. Bear can make a big deal of pretty much anything. It can also mean protection, or it can mean your life is overbearing. So, or maybe not your life, but whatever is around this card. It depends on surrounding cards as usual. So, with that luck card being in the middle, it's very possible that hang on, I'm going to start recording in case the YouTube isn't going well. It's very possible that the luck, to me this means that luck is a big part of what's going on right now. Pretty much like what I just said. Luck is playing a big part in Mew's life right now, with how he's getting along with whatever he's playing at or whatever he's trying to do in life right now. Luck is a big part of it as to why he's surviving. If I was to look at it in another light of things, it could also be that Mew's lucky to have so much support and protection around him, meaning, you know, his fans, his family. It could be that too. But, as I said, it's a very unpredictable card. So, yeah, things could change, in other words. Alright, and how about the conclusion card? The conclusion card is the letter. Interesting. We had, the letter was kind of the star of the day last month for both Mew and Gulf, so that's interesting. But as I was just saying earlier about his work, he's been lucky. He's been lucky up to now, and he still seems to be lucky because he's getting more work in despite all the drama and scandalous talk going on regarding him, let's say. So yeah, it could very well be that he's lucky to be protected somewhat. Or it could be whatever this contract is that he has regarding work. He's lucky it hasn't become too much to handle. Could be another way of looking at it. Or if we go back to serendipitous encounters and it being related to meeting someone in private, it could also be that his work has allowed him to have these serendipitous encounters in private. Still not really completely sure what these cards are saying yet. Alright, and what is the other corners? We have Lily. Lily can be, most of the time it's about maturity or purity. Sometimes it can be support or advice from older and wiser relative, or it can also point to being career-based as well. And what about the last card? Man. So, not being in the center, I'd say this man is probably not Gulf. I'd say, Gulf. Mew. We're doing Mew right now, but I don't think it's Gulf either. I'd say that this man is probably Tool. The man in his life right now would probably be Tool. Okay, so that's the four corners basically explained. Now let's see what the other cards are. Actually, I'll start up here. We have birds. Okay, so birds. Birds can be a social media card. It can also be conversation between two people. It can also be nervousness, anxious, anxiety, stuff like that. So it depends. If you go by the bear being perhaps overbearing, could be that it's becoming overbearing, or it has been overbearing, because this is kind of in the past column if we jump to that. It's been overbearing. His anxiety to remain mature has been overbearing, something like that, or maybe pressure to be mature, or about his career has been overbearing. Or, like I said, it could be protective. So this could be his fans have been talking amongst themselves, ready to protect him, and Mew is trying to be mature and protective of himself. This could even go back to, excuse me, this could even go back to, just get a drink, about the court case that he's doing. This could even be about the court case that he's doing, suing somebody. It could be related to that as well. Okay. How about this one? Tree. Tree. So bear, tree, basically strong roots or a stronghold, or having to remain strong while enduring something regarding a man, pretty much. So remaining strong while dealing with a man, or possibly protecting and sticking to your guns about a man, can be that as well. Interesting. Oh, that's where I went backwards. I should have done that one first. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we'll do that one now. Here we go. Ring. Now, ring can be, doesn't have to be love related. It can just be like a work contract as well. But with these two cards, I'd say the mature commitment, or the supported contract. Interesting, the man's here too. What about this card? Come on, let's say, oh boy. Excuse my overreactions. Scythe. Okay, so if we go with this man, like I said, possibly tool, scythe, letter. Ending a contract. Ending conversation or communication. Ending something with a man. Now, before anybody says it's Gulf, well, if you say that, you're obviously not one of us, and plus you'd be admitting right there that they have been in touch to be able to cut the communication. So, just saying that. But no, I get more that this is Tool. Like I said, I don't even think it's Mew, because usually when the man comes up, it would be in the center if it was about Mew. so yeah, it's about breaking a contract, breaking communication, breaking an agreement. If not breaking or cutting, this could also mean lessening, like, you know, cutting the grass shorter with a scythe. It could be less communication with a man, or sort of, what do you call it, fading communication with a man, gently sort of not talking as much. Also, tree can also mean family, I should say. Tree can also mean family. So another person this man could be, especially with the lily up here, this could also be talking about a fatherly figure as well with these two cards. So it could even be something else, like family related disagreements or something like that, which would go along with what we've been saying in the past about this whole thing possibly being pushed by a certain family member. But of course, these are all just ideas that we're getting from not 100%. And please take heed of my scrolling warning up top. You know, don't be using this for evidence, and please remember to take everything I say with a grain of salt, because in the end, everything I get from the cards is my interpretation of the cards. I don't call myself a professional. I am simply a Waanjai who reads cards. Okay? Make that clear. Alright. Well, I think we can keep going from where we are. I don't think I need to change the camera to the fridge, do I? I think you guys can see this well enough. Anyway, tell me. Oh, I did this also, I can see your comments and I'm not even watching. Hang on, let me see what we're saying here. Tell me if you prefer the other cards or something. Hello, Claudia. Hi, Kelly. I'm good, thank you. I'm sorry that I can't get the chat up on the screen though. I was supposed to try, but it hasn't worked. You can hear me? Great, thanks Nadine. How is everyone staying strong? Well, I think we are, Elizabeth. See how we go. Alright. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to the cards. So the past column here, we'll do the past first. So I kind of already did go over this a little bit, but we'll do it again. So the bear, the tree, and the man. Like I said, either overpowering or overbearing. Tree could be family, so it could be an overbearing family member. Overbearing family member or overbearing person. It could also be protective family. Someone who protected him in regarding family in the past. Could be that. Yeah, I'm really strongly getting now with these and that family member. Family member. So those of us who have been discussing in our private chats about possibly having a dispute with a family member who wants this whole thing to go ahead, but Mew is having second thoughts, and could be trouble in the family, perhaps. Yeah. Or if we go back to this possibly being a tool, it could even be on his side. There could be a relative or father figure who's becoming a little bit overbearing about the murder, you know, trying to save face, trying to make things happen, things like that. This could also be related to grandparents. I don't think we're talking about those excited grandparents who wanted them to get married as soon as possible. I don't think that's what we're talking about here today, since we're only seeing the man. but anything's possible. And as I said, it could also be, the tree could also be about enduring something, or waiting a long time, like a tree lives for hundreds of years. So it could be about enduring something long term and having to be strong about it. So it could also be that. Could be having to be strong and endure his time with a man while things are still happening on these cards before we jump ahead. Right? Okay, simple enough. And then we'll move to current. So currently we have, well, he's either feeling very anxious and nervous about his luck possibly running out. This is what I didn't mention before. The scythe is under luck. So, yep, like I said, very unpredictable. This clover here, his luck could run out. And he's worried about that. Possibly. Or it could be the time that he's had together with someone could be ended soon. Could also mean that. And that's current. That's the current situation during this reading. Or time with this person can be lessened. Or if we go back to this being the social media card, it could even be that the people, the supportive, or the, after that comment he made to the press the other night about, whoever doesn't support this relationship, I don't care about them, I care about the ones who do support me. He said something along those lines, right? According to the translations. He cares about all the people who do support them rather than the small group, I think he said, or the minority. I don't know. I can't remember the exact translation I read, but something along those lines, that don't support him. So after saying that, I can imagine some people amongst us who would just take that as like a slap in the face, and then would probably cut their support a little bit, not completely, but a little bit, like would be less likely to like posts in good faith that things are going to change that may involve Tull or may link to him in a way, things like that, may stop supporting him with events that may link to Tull or may have him added, things like that. Let me just say, well, shippers would know this because they attacked me, but fair enough, I had a go at them for speaking about those two while other people were on screen. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. But anyway, I watched the live when he was doing, not the second one, but the first one. I think, what was his first? Painkiller? Was it Painkiller? I think it was Painkiller. He was doing the Painkiller live, and I was watching the live, and there weren't many supporters there that I could tell in, regards to us. Most supporters were other couples and other people, and there were probably about, well, I don't want to count, but maybe, let's just say a handful. There were about a handful of fans, and they got more the more I talked. It's like, I feel almost like if the screen watching rate went up in regards to discussing those two, it's probably because I was there, because I think they called in recruits and said, hey, come attack this nut, she's on live, she needs to be put in her place, come on, come here and start attacking her with the love of our couple, or something like that. I don't know. I'm only imagining what was said in regards to the shippers at that time, but definitely I saw people turn up that weren't there to begin with after, a little bit of conflict started, let's say. Now, in the end, I let them win. I just, yeah, I'm done with this. I'm not discussing anymore. And I just kept enjoying the live for what it was. I kept commenting on people who were on screen at the time, and I kept supporting Mew when there wasn't somebody else being featured on screen, because that's what you're meant to do. You know, you're not meant to overpower other people when you're supporting someone. You're meant to support everybody in the event somewhat, because they're all part of it. They all make up the live, or at least that's how I feel. They're all part of making up the event to be what it is. So even if you only support one person, you can still be cordial and say, and good luck to all the other participants, you know, something like that, which is what I did. Instead of going on and on and on and on annoyingly about whoever you're supporting when they're not on screen and somebody else is, and, you know, it's, yeah, anyway, enough about that. So, yeah, I didn't see much of us there, so that already tells me that I think a lot of us have met our limit of toleration to an extent, that we're not going to support Mew if we know it's anything to do with the other, possibly. So it could be about that. Anyway, yes, hanging in there and waiting patiently. Good to know, Nadine. All right, so let's move on to the future column. So we have, or later in the month, which could be still coming this month. As I said, there's about a week left. So we have Lily, ring, letter. What did I say earlier? Could be having to be mature about a commitment or a contract or a relationship on paper. So, you know, basically a contract or a written agreement about a relationship, having to remain mature about it. Yeah, I can't really elaborate on that much more. That's pretty much all I'm getting for those cards right now. Because ring and letter can be like business, contract, can also, at a long stretch, can be something like wedding papers or what do you call them? What do you call it when you sign an agreement before you get married? I can't remember the word right now, but it could be something like that. Prenuptial? Is it prenuptial? Something like that. So having to sign a prenup and being mature about it, or that's if it's even happening. Or it could be about discussing business, like their business partnership. It could be discussing business with maturity in mind, or being mature about it, or even being career focused about it, because remember I said this card can also be about being career focused. So it could just be pure business, not letting anything influence your thinking or the way you work, because it's all about business. And mind you, whatever business they are having, it obviously involves feeding the shippers anyway, if it is a business matter. So, yeah, that's still related to business in this case. But with this, coming back to what this is, you know, ring, scythe, man, letter, lily. It could be pointing again to something ending, or possibly just letting go of some contracts. Yeah, anyway, let's move on to what's on his mind. So this way we have bear, birds, lily. Bear, birds, lily. So being strong, remaining strong and protective about your communication, mature. So it could be about having to remain strong no matter what, you're going to have haters when you're a celebrity. That's pretty standard. So yeah, I'd say with the history of what's happened in Mew's case, he has to remain strong against all the talking of what's happening with him, apart from when he chooses to sue someone. But as we all know, that was not suing us. That was not suing any people who were just talking their opinion. That was about suing someone for bringing up a past matter, which I'm not going to say what. If you know, you know, but I'm not going to say what. And it's not the first time he brought it up. It was already sorted out in court, but someone decided to bring it up again, discuss it again, and, well, justice will be served to those people or that person. I can't remember if it was only one or a group of people doing it. So it could be about that. It could be remaining strong about all the chatter, all the gossip online about him right now, and remaining mature about it as well. Could be something like that. Or it could be having to... It could be... Hang on. Protective of what's his, protective of a secret conversation, maybe, because if we go into knighting, this knights with the letter, so that can mean secret conversation. So it could be about being protective about a secret conversation and keeping it mature. Oh, you know what else just came to me? Two birds. It can also, the two birds card can be also about two people in a relationship. Sometimes it depends on the surrounding cards. What I'm getting is having to remain strong, similar to this, having to remain strong about a relationship. And this card sometimes can also, like, purity. It can be that at a long stretch can mean like remaining celibate for somebody. I won't say entirely, but for somebody, meaning you don't fall into temptation. You only, this one person, whoever it is the only person you go that far with, something like that. So having to remain strong about that, or be on guard at all times with the bear, be on guard at all times with that. Also, the lily can directly relate to, as I said, elders. And we have this figure here is a man. If you can't see that, hang on. Can you see that, guys? So it's a man, which is the symbol on the card. So if it's a father figure, it could be that his conversation with a mature family figure could be, he has to be strong about it, or he could be struggling with it. It could be becoming overbearing. Really could be any of those things. But, you know, I'm giving you all these ideas of what these cards can mean, and I leave it up to you as well as the viewers. You know, you decide what the cards really say to you, or what stands out that I've said about these cards. Just remember to adhere to this, though. This beware. Okay? And in the reality, which is this line, we have tree, clover, ring. So in reality, he could be remaining very strong and in his roots about his, let's say, lucky encounters with, as I said, this ring could be related to work, could be related to a relationship as well. So it could just be all around, he's feeling very lucky and wants to stick to this luck about all the serendipitous encounters he's had regarding work. Could even be because this knight's with the man. So if we go back to this being Tool, in this case, it could be that he thinks he's been lucky so far with all the work commitments and the work contracts he's had regarding Tool. He could be feeling that, you know, luck has played a big part in it all. But remember, we said up here it's possible he's worried about that luck running out as well. So there's that to consider. Or if it's talking more about a father figure, it could be that he's feeling lucky to have such a strong relationship with this family member. Could be something like that. Or if you go negative with the tree, it could be that the father figure may have a hold of him or be, you know, anchoring him back through some kind of agreement, which goes into other cards leading to the possible current engagement. So there's a few things it can mean. And what about hidden influences? Well, then we have the man again, we have the scythe, and we have the ladder. So feeling lucky or unlucky, let's say, this card. Feeling lucky or unlucky because this man, he's going to do something. He's going to make a cutting decision. Remember, this card can mean cutting decision. He's going to make a cutting decision about this man, whether that be Tool or a father figure. He's going to have to remain strong about it. Or he may be feeling stuck and held back from doing anything else at this point, but has to remain mature about it until luck starts working in his favor again regarding what he truly wants. Something like that. Right? So if we say that this man is Tool and they're going to break off their agreement, whatever that may be, that's the hidden influence, meaning it's going to happen no matter what. If we go to T's and I go from the bottom here, if we start with the bottom T, we say that this cut of whatever this is with this man is, or this conversation, this cutting decision conversation with this man is going to happen based on luck. So it's not really reliable, in other words. It's all based on luck. And possibly finding the time to talk, maybe, with these two birds. Or it could also be, because if I go back to this being the social media card, it could also be about what's being said on social media at the time. Could be something like that. If we go down, let's say social media gossip, the good stuff about it is going to come to a halt regarding this man and this agreement, something like that. If we go to the other way with the T, so the social gossip and how lucky he's been to have so much support about it is going to end, or at least be less. And he's either going to have to be strong and mature about that, or he's going to, it's going to feel like it's a big deal. The sudden loss of all that support that he may start losing more support, it's gonna impact him strongly. He's going to know about it. He's going to feel it. He's going to feel that lack of support suddenly. And he's either going to remain mature about it, or possibly going to seek advice to someone older about it. Or it may even trigger him to have that, let's say, difficult conversation with somebody about, this, enough is enough, we need to end this, we need to do the right thing. It's been fun, but it's not working. Let's get back to reality, or let's get back in alignment, something like that. If I was to think this is, let's for a second, remember I said if you think this is Gulf, then you're admitting that they've been in touch or they've been talking, because otherwise there'd be nothing to end. They've already ended it a long time ago. But let's say it is Gulf. Then I would say Mew would be possibly ending the agreement to do MD Happy Hour, to do all the links, to keep having these happy coincidences happening. He might put something in force to prevent those things happening in the future if he really is forced or feels he has no choice but to go with this thing with Tull. I was going to say this later, but I feel compelled to say it now. I really do feel Tarot, Lenormand, all this aside, what we've witnessed in the past, even gut feelings and all that aside, if Mew and Gulf really hated each other's guts as much as shippers think, and, avoiding each other like the plague, etc., don't you think Mew or Gulf or both of them would have done something by now to end all this connection that's still happening with their names together? And it wouldn't be easy, I know, but, they would at least, for one thing, if you put it down to coincidences like wearing the same clothing, I would think that any of their staff members who are in charge of their clothing and design and everything that happen to be a fan of the other and are, using that, like secretly being a Waanjai sort of thing on their side, I would think that they would either let them go, or they would have a very strong talk with them about, you work for me, please stop doing your personal own thing here by doing this. They might ask them to start checking, can you make sure that, since you're a fan of them already, can you please make sure that I don't wear anything that's they have worn just recently? Or for the people who put up their social media posts, when they're not putting up their own, that happen to come up in the exact same, not the same hour, those could be negotiated to be a coincidence, because, everybody puts stuff up all the time in that industry. But to put it up in the exact same minute, that's a different story. So, you could easily tell a staff member to, please mind when you upload my posts, can you please make sure that it hasn't been within this time frame of the other person? There are things they could do if they really cared that much about not having anything to do with the person anymore, the way the shippers think. But they don't feel that way, obviously. Obviously they don't feel that way. And obviously this never meeting in public is arranged to be just so. And to do that, they have to be in touch, right? So, anyway, I digress. Where were we? So, the side teas. So, bear, tree, man, clover, ring. Remaining strong about family, a family connection that you feel lucky to have a relationship with, or feeling it becoming overbearing. So your relationship with a mature family member becomes overbearing. Or if we go back to till, remaining strong about and sticking to your guns about what you think regarding this man, and feeling lucky to have you, lucky to be with them in whatever form that is. Something like that. Could be. Depends. It all depends. Like, remember, the cards, this is what's on Mew's mind, and what's, what should I say? What he's thinking. It's not necessarily what's going on, because that's how a karmic relationship works. When you're in a karmic relationship, you don't think you're in a karmic relationship, you think you're with Sin. So it's very possible that he may feel a certain way about Till, we don't know. But what we do know, and we see in body language, we see in the connection he continues to have with another person, we see in the lack of, like I said, body language, and so on, that he's clearly not with the right person. Anyway, moving on, lily, ring, letter, clover, tree. See, this goes back to what I said about being held back, or, you know, a tree doesn't move. So if there's a mature family member sort of holding you back or preventing you from making any movements at the moment, it could feel like that. It could feel like you're having to wait it out, like a tree, waiting for a very long time and having to remain mature about this business connection or whatever relationship this happens to be. Could even be about, you know, if it's a father figure, you're remaining strong about your family roots because he's your father, or he's a father figure, and you have an agreement with them. Could be something like that as well. Alright, is that clear enough? What have you been saying? Kelly, yes, I'm hanging in there, good to know. It has been a long drawn out affair after Milan. I thought we were going to have more open MG events. Oh, honestly, you know, those shippers they haven't really been giving a thought to that sign of affection from somebody else, obviously not Till, while he was away. They've just pushed it under the carpet, haven't they? They've conveniently forgotten about it, because they're probably thinking, oh, I'm sure it was from Till before he left Thailand or something like that. But it depends, you know, the life of a love bite varies, but it doesn't usually last that long. Or not, it can last that long, but the colour changes, doesn't it? So it doesn't remain that bright red for days on end. So yeah, I think, you know, they're really kidding themselves if they think that came from someone who was in another country at the time. Anyway, let's not go there for now. Hello from Peru. Hello, Nat. Yes, they have done that to Mew many times, where the content creator admin would call others to attack Mew. I never back down. I think that Mew knows exactly what he is doing. Prenuptial. Yes, prenuptial. That's what I meant. Prenuptial. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I think you're a little bit behind me, because it did say there was going to be buffering. So sorry about that. Anyway, I think I've explained about Mew well enough. So let's move on to Gulf. Now, just for the sake of having it up there for reference, I'll quickly put these cards behind me. how's everybody liking the new setup? Is it easy enough to follow? I'll try and work on being able to put the chat up on the screen because that's what I was hoping for. Have I got everything? But it just didn't work out this time in this case. Alright, so I'm still here, guys. I'll just put these cards up. Man is over here. Ring. Bear. Birds. Tree. We're missing letter. I thought we were, because it's up there. I have to get from my other set. There it is. Okay, there we go. So that's Mew's cards. Is that right? Yes. Yep. Okay. All right. So I'll put these away. So I don't get confused when I go looking at the cards later. Okay, so first we'll do the briefing of Gulf. So, Gulf's Astro cards were Letter, Garden, Heart. So, what I wrote back on the 22nd of March, my prediction. For Gulf, this sounds a lot like... Oh, hang on. I should actually do what I did for you, shouldn't I? Let me get these down. Letter, Garden, Heart. Okay. See those all right? Yep. Okay. So for Gulf, this sounds a lot like either an announcement about his work, such as leaving the industry, like mentioned in the previous month. Not likely at this stage though, guys. I'll just say that. Or some other important news, or possibly even wedding or party invitations to a huge event. So that's the letter and garden together. And I mentioned what's even more interesting is that Mew got this same heart letter combinations in his reading only in December, 3 months later. Goodness, have you noticed I start doing this strange coughing when I'm saying something that could be the truth coming out before it's revealed or something, you know? A lot of readers, I've noticed this, a lot of readers when they start having to clear their throat, they say it's the throat chakra, that, you know, you should pay attention to what they're about to say because it could be something important or somebody is trying to speak a truth. So it's funny that happened now, and it also happened when I mentioned it was about the suing, wasn't it? It was about Mew taking legal. It was about Mew taking legal action about that person bringing the past matter up again. So I said that, and now I'm saying about this. I wonder if that's connected. So the letter garden, so public announcement or public news about something very important. Obviously, it's a matter of the heart, I think, because the heart is here. But that doesn't have to mean it's necessarily like a wedding invitation or even a reunion. It could just mean, you know, sending love to the fans as well. It could be something like that, or love to the public. But What I say, what's even more interesting is Mew got the same heart letter combinations in his reading only in December 3 months later. So what I say is if the cross for Mew up here, if the cross for Mew means fate, maybe Mewgulf will announce their relationship on social media, whether it's work or lovers. That's what I was referring to with this. So there's a week to go, but somehow I think, things change. And when I did this prediction, as I said, it was 22nd of March. They may have had plans to do it back then, but things change, and now it's been postponed to later, possibly. Like, things possibly were meant to end by the end of this month, but maybe they have been prolonged now by outside influences, possibly. But it could be either a proper, like, we're the real deal announcement, or it could be something as simple as we're going to work together again. Or it could even be something like, enough is enough, don't worry, Waanjai, we are still friends, we are still talking. It could be something like that, which, I think us Waanjai would be happy with any of the three, just quietly, just anything along those lines would make us happy and give us something to celebrate, I believe. You love the setup? Thank you, Kelly. So moving on. And send out invitations for an upcoming event or even wedding. So that's the garden and heart together. So garden more or less means public. So it's a public event. It could be a public event, or it could be something like a wedding. Or a party. It could be a network party. It could be, they've been doing a lot of that. Oh, goodness. Do you hear that? Do you hear the birds? Wow, I wonder if that's in reference to this, people gossiping and chatting all the time about possible future things happening. Or it could even be a sentiment of, what it's going to be like, what I just said. Us Waanjai would be happy with any of those three options. Any of those would make us rejoice and be happy, and probably you won't be able to shut us up about it if it happens. As the birds. Anyway, back on track. Or if the cross means suffering, back to this cross, if the cross means suffering, then maybe Mew will still be pressured into marrying Tul. He will long for Gulf and miss him, the cross woman, and maybe send a wedding invitation to Gulf, letter heart. So in other words, Gulf receives a letter. Maybe that's why his possible invitations are in December. As I said, Mew gets the same letter heart combination and letter garden combination in December. Or maybe it was only letter heart. Either way, he gets it in December. So Mew could be waiting for a response, or to see if Gulf will attend his wedding. I'm not sure about that now, honestly, with everything that's going on. Again, I did this prediction back in the 22nd of March. I was still very new to everything back then, let's say, as well. But, we did not see how they keep postponing things. What is it now? We're postponed to next year, at the end of next year. Possibly there may be a wedding. So I don't think there's going to be any invitations sent out in December unless they have to send the invitations out a year before the happening, or unless they change their mind and decide to rush to the altar, or unless it's not about a wedding invitation about those two, but rather someone else, like organising their own wedding. Or unless it's not a wedding at all and it's more about just communication from the heart. It could also be that. Bringing this private communication out into the public. Or more or less, if you put it into Mewgulf terms, coming out of being secret and showing that you're still in touch. to the public, basically. Okay, just quickly going over the meanings. So letter and garden, public communication, invites, wedding, party, networking event, as I said. Garden heart. Garden heart can also mean open relationship, if you know what that is. So a conversation about an open relationship, possibly, something like that. Or remaining open, or in their case, more likely coming out to the public about their relationship, I would say. Whatever relationship that may be. It doesn't have to be lovers. It could be, as I said earlier, it could be friends, it could be work partners again, it could be any of those. But definitely this garden card is saying that something would come out in public about it. Or if we take Mew out of the picture for a minute, it could even be Gulf finding someone and announcing it. Could be something like that too. Although I doubt it, because the way he's been talking about, being single, happy to be single, etc. If it's not Mew, I don't think he'd be saying all that, because he sounds super excited and, like he would want to share. He wouldn't want to keep hiding. He'd want to share his relationship with someone if it was happening. So the only reason he has to do it in regards to Mew is because of the situation. That's what I get. And letter heart. Letter heart can be about planning a future together. Or like a wedding paper. Or a agreement between two people who love each other, something like that. Or it could not be two people who love each other, but more like I said, showing love to fans. So it could even be Gulf might write a heartfelt letter to his fans and, send it out to the public. Could be something like that. Could be him inviting fans to his upcoming birthday celebration. Could be something like that, even if you take Mew out of the picture. Anyway, let's elaborate on these cards and get his 9 cards out. Get his portrait out. Just put these back up here. Okay. All right. How are we going for time? Oh wow. It's been about just over an hour already I spent on Mew. Okay, so how is October looking, or how is the rest of October looking, and what has already happened this month for Gulfkanawut? Let's just go straight to counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so his center card is coffin. Interesting. Something is ending in order to have a new beginning. Intriguing. Okay, and the rest of the cards. Whoop. Get them out. Do the cross of destiny and then fill in the corners. Okay. All right. So yeah, I basically already explained the center card. So it's about something ending in order for something to begin. Or if you want to talk in tarot terms, the Fool. Or maybe not so much the Fool, but death, the Death card, because death is about change. It is about something ending in order to have a new beginning. What are we saying? I honestly believe that they are not coincidences all the time, and for them to never be seen together is too weird, especially that they are both in the same industry, in the same country. I was just trying something there. It's not working. I've really got to figure out how to make this chat work for me. Anyway. both in the same industry in the same country. It is weird, isn't it? It's a very small world. We see it time and again that they bump into the same people in the same social circle, but they never bump into each other, right? All right, so what is the cover card for Gulf? Oh, the key. Okay. So straight away, the key is this. The key is ending something in order to have a new beginning. All right, and the conclusion card, the bed card. So with just these cards showing, I would say this is related to comfort zone. So the key to keeping his comfort zone is to end something in order to have a new beginning. Say that much. And what about the other corner cards? We have heart and mountain. So either a new start or ending a relationship of some kind to end his troubles, his obstacles with this mountain. Intriguing. All right, let's see what the other cards are. I don't want to elaborate anymore before we get the rest of the cards. Mice. The key is he's anxious about ending something that he feels strongly about. Something he loves. Ending something he loves. Okay. Yes, this one. Bouquet. Bouquet can be about beauty, can be about small gifts, can also be about keeping up appearances too. With the surrounding cards, this could be about keeping up appearances that he's ended something, or he's going to end something in order to stay in comfort zone, something like that maybe. And this card, oh man, look out, man. Man. Okay, and woman. Oh boy, okay. All right. So basically, I think, you know, if the man were in the center, then I'd say it's Gulf. But since it's not in the center, I'd say this is another man in his life. Very possibly who we think it is, Mew. And then the woman in that case would be him. And in common, they have mountain and coffin. So this could be talking about, let's say they're not in touch. Let's say they have been what they describe as not in touch for years, or they were just work colleagues, but in reality they are connected. They have a red thread connecting them, which is causing trouble for them to move forward in their lives without the other, let's say. So trouble, obstacles, there is a mountain between these two, fully ending things, let's say. Yeah. All right, let's just move on. Let's move on to doing the columns for now, because I can't, yeah, without going into the other parts of the reading, I can't really make much more of that. So for now, let's go for the past. So we have key, man, mountain. So this person, whether it be Mew or another man in his life, in the past has been causing trouble for Gulf. Has been, oh, this could even be Tool, actually. Could be Tool, but anyway, because it doesn't, the card doesn't have to mean the same thing all throughout every angle of the reading. In other words, like it could be Mew in this sense, but it could be Tool in this sense, if that makes sense. Anyway, that was just another thought that came to me. It could be that Tool's causing him trouble because of what's happening with the current situation. But if it's Mew, it could also be that, because Mew is part of the situation as well. So it could just be Mew is causing him trouble or has been causing him trouble in the past. Or making it hard for him in the past. Or it could even be it's been hard to be with this person in the past. Could also be that. Yep, all right, and then we go current or mid-month. Wait a sec. Related to this month. I just thought of when Gulf was coming back from, or was that a long time ago? I could be getting confused. Well, let's just say that Gulf has been travelling a bit without his manager with him, without P-Bus there. I wonder if it's something to do with management making things happen. I'm not saying this is P-Bus by any means, but I'm saying maybe somebody in the management is making things hard for him. Maybe. Not sure. Anyway. Or it could just be, because the mountain can also mean overseas. So it could just mean that he's done a lot of travelling overseas this month. Which in that case the man would be Gulf. Or no, Mew's done a lot of travelling too. So no, I get more Mew than Gulf with this man. So maybe it's that. The key is that the man in his life has been doing a lot of travelling, or has been overseas a lot, or there has been a mountain between them a lot this month. Something like that. Okay, and then, yeah, moving on to current. So we have mice, coffin, woman. Mice, coffin, woman. Something about an ending keeps being postponed or taken away, in other words. Or this could be, because mice can also be like anxiety. It could be that he's anxious or nervous about ending something to do with a woman. And in this case, it could still be that Gulf is the woman, because it could be about, let's just say Gulf isn't as spiritually mature as we give him credit for in the past on this channel, and he's going to sort of cut his divine feminine side off. Let's say, something like that. Or woman, the woman could be related to another woman in his life. Maybe he's looking at his fans as women. So maybe this could be representative of losing a lot of fans. He's nervous about losing fans after doing something. Doesn't make sense though in Gulf's case. Woman. I wouldn't think he'd be ending it like with his mother, let's say. I wouldn't think that. Maybe there's a woman in the management somewhere that feels like they have power over Gulf or the decisions he makes or something, and he might be thinking about ending that agreement. But yeah, if we go back to, if we say it's not so much ending with his divine self, but ending this, whatever this is, with this man, he's going to end it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the end of the story, and can mean end it for a new beginning. And also, if you notice how bouquet comes after the coffin, that more or less indicates that this isn't the end. It means something's going to end in order to have this nice, beautiful appearance of something. It could be a happy ending even. It could be a happy ending between these two people. Something like that. Okay. Moving on to future or later in the month. So what could still happen this month? We have what did I have from you again? Lily, ring, letter. If I was to link those two, then basically ring and heart could be in the same league, let's say, and it could be about finding comfort or remaining in your comfort zone with somebody you feel strongly about after ending something. After ending something with this person, being able to go back to your comfort zone. Something like that. I'm sorry, you know, I always tell you, it's sometimes it's harder to read for Gulf than it is for Mew, because Gulf is less of an open book. But that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. I can't really say any more than what I'm getting. With these videos, I'm doing this all live so I don't have to do the animating card thing, because it takes a lot of time to do that. But I may have to go back and do some extra research on this particular spread, possibly. Or we may get more clarity when we move on to the tarot. So let's just not dawdle. Let's keep going. So, all right. So on his mind, we have key, mice, heart. On his mind, he is really focusing on the lessening aspect of something he truly loves, or having to slowly end something he truly loves or cares about, a matter of the heart. Or it could be that he is very anxious, nervous, and worried about something that he truly loves. Could be any of those. Down to reality, we have man, coffin, bouquet. Now this has just come to me, because in reality is what's actually happening. So, as I said, bouquet can be like keeping up appearances. Perhaps if we go back to this could be Mew. This could still be Mew. And it could be that on the outside, they have to remain appearing to have ended things. They still have to remain as if they've ended things to the public right now. It could be something like that. So this would go back to supporting what we said about things were supposed to possibly end at the end of this month, but things have been postponed because things have changed due to whatever this current situation is. So they have to continue looking like they've not been in touch. They've got nothing to do with each other, like things ended between them a long time ago. Perhaps it could be that. And then hidden influences, because there's an obstacle, there's a problem remaining regarding a woman, or this could be a significant other, meaning, you know, what appears to be the significant other. I don't normally link the woman to Tool, but I was just led to say that anyway, because gender aside, you know, the other figure, because if this is Mew and currently his partner is Tool, then sort of, yeah, significant other. But I can't really say that without laughing or just feeling, yeah. I don't think it is. It would be more likely there's possibly a womanly figure or feminine figure in Gulf's life who is causing trouble, or not letting him be in his comfort zone. Maybe it's Tool's mother. If Tool is the problem man, then maybe the woman could be Tool's mother, because she's the one who's pushing the other situation to go ahead a little. Not really. I don't get that though. I get this is definitely somebody close. With it being this close to the comfort card, it's definitely somebody close. I wouldn't want to think that Gulf's mum has anything to do with it, because in past readings I've got that she's all for it, all for whatever fate and destiny has in store. So I wouldn't think that she's causing trouble. But again, going back to the idea of somebody in the workplace, it's funny because last year around this time, there was a private reading done. There was a tarot reader who somebody disclosed what they got from them to me in a private message. I won't say who or what or anything, but what I will say is that there was talk of there being a woman in Gulf's life who felt like they had power over Gulf because they knew the truth about what was going on between him and Mew, and possibly they could cause trouble at any given moment. Like they could just come out and cause trouble. So it could be even that. It could be referring to some feminine figure in Gulf's life that knows everything, knows the truth, but could expose that truth at any given moment and cause a mountain of trouble for Gulf. Something like that. Or if we go back to this and this, so do the T, part, bouquet, comfort zone or bed, coffin, man, Gulf remains, he has a comfortable feeling. He has a comfortable feeling, but that's going to end soon because of this person. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, as bad as it may sound. It may just be that, you know, what do you think's going to happen if let's just say Mewgulf suddenly come out and say what's going on. Do you think Gulf's going to be able to keep going, no problem, as comfortable as he's got living right now? Probably not. He's going to be attacked. He's going to be called a home wrecker. He's going to... some of his fans are going to be questioning him, are going to be wondering, you know, his lack of judgment possibly, based on not being a fan of Mew. Or it could even be if, let's say, he comes out with somebody else other than Mew. It could be that too. Maybe even if we go a step further and say it's somebody like Smith, all the shipping that's been happening lately, maybe he's going to put that to an end somehow. Could be something like that as well. Key, man, mountain. The key is that this person is causing trouble, or there is a mountain of trouble between Gulf and this man. So we need to end that trouble in order to be happy, if you go that way with the T. This one, key, mice, heart, coffin, woman. The key is ending something you really care about with this woman figure. Again, could be related to something like what I just said, a woman who might be exposing him, but can only expose him if he sticks to the contract or to the agreement that they have, or something like that. If Gulf lets go of that, then perhaps this person would have no power over him, let's say. Please remember that scrolling words up there with everything I'm saying. Okay, and this last T, mountain, woman, comfort, or bed. Coffin, mice. A woman causing trouble for Gulf. Could even be a stubborn woman, you know, staying, not budging like a mountain. A stubborn woman that is within his close circle with the comfort zone here. He may have to end something slowly, or end something before it becomes a big problem, because mice can also be like tempest in a pot of tea sort of thing. I'm also looking at the knighting here. We have mice with the bed. Less comfort. Less privacy, this could even mean. Less privacy. So if we go back to this woman possibly being someone who can expose everything about what's going on, then Gulf has less privacy in his life suddenly because more is known about him. Mice Mountain, and this could be a problem for him. It would cause problems for him if this person happened to expose him before they're ready, and his privacy would basically lessen. We have, well, with heart and woman here, it's definitely somebody he cares about. If we go back to the idea that it could be himself, his feminine side, this could even be him exposing himself. It could be his feminine side having enough and deciding, you know, enough with the tough guy. I want to be happy. I I want to be with the person I love without the trouble. Let's just expose things. Could be something like that. And still, in that case, you would, privacy and secrets would lessen. And this is the key. The woman here is knighted with the key. So, yes. Whatever it is with this woman, whether it be his divine feminine self or another womanly figure in his life, it's the key to end something or lessen something in order to have this happy ending or happy new beginning even about something he loves. And heart is also knighted with the man here. See that? So definitely I would say this is about a relationship. This is about a secret relationship possibly being exposed, coming out, and then as a result causing a mountain of trouble and less comfortable. Being less comfortable suddenly because of the exposure. Make sense? What are we saying here? Is there a time length to these readings, like this happening in a year or 2 years in the future? Well, this reading in particular is for October. So if it's in the future column, it doesn't have to necessarily mean this month, but past and present has possibly already happened or is happening right now as we speak or is about to happen this month, let's say. We don't like to put times on it. I know readers don't like to put exact times on it, but I did say October, and I get the feeling that this is related to October, but maybe that the happy ending here that we're talking about may not come as quickly. So it may be, because that's in the future column, that it may take longer. This is all like happening, could be even be a continuous if you bring into the picture about the tree in Muse reading. So as I kept saying, enduring a long time. And the scythe here kind of relates to the coffin as well. So things are happening, but slowly, you know, it's taking its time. My post's not coming up. Well, I just read them, if you mean that. Elizabeth, because I too know what Mew is doing. He knows he can't keep postponing, so the wedding is definitely going to happen. The wedding, huh? Okay. Gulf saying a lot of people are DMing him. I hope he finds someone new for now. For now? Well, I've had readings in the past tell me that Gulf's not like that. Even though Mew may be like that, you know, the you only live once and live your life now thing, and you know, willing to, let's say, associate with other people in the meantime. Gulf's not like that. I've had many times in different days, different occasions, I've done readings towards Gulf, how he feels towards his love life, etc. He is more than happy staying somewhat single, meaning, you know, no action, if that makes sense, no action. And he won't go there until he knows for sure that somebody is the right person, whether that be Mew or not. There are a lot of people trying to court Gulf. However, in my opinion, I think that he is still waiting for me. Like what I just said. Yes, exactly. Even if Mew is, you know, being stubborn about it or trying to stick to his guns about his karmic relationship possibly, you know, that's how a twin flame relationship works. Eventually, with the divine feminine deciding to, you know, also stick to her guns but stop desperately waiting and just get on with life, as if, you know, I'm good with or without you attitude, that will automatically make the divine masculine, it will attract the divine masculine. even if they're with someone else at the time, they will start longing for the person, they will start checking on the person, they will start wanting to be with the person, and it just goes on like that. That's sort of the beginnings of the spiritual awakening that the divine masculine would have to go through. Elizabeth, if I was years younger, I would be DM Gulf. He is gorgeous. Yeah. Well, he is gorgeous and really kind. Yes, I know. He's a real catch, isn't he? Alright, so that's catched me up with all your chatting. So we've done this now. Let me just quickly put those cards up for Gulf, and then we'll move on to the tarot side of things and see how they are currently feeling. See if their current feelings for each other match with what we've been discussing. Okay, so just give me a second. I must say I was relieved to not see the whip in Mew's reading this time, because even though we've been saying it's about returning to the past, etc., it also had a negative meaning that it could have very well been. So I'm sort of relieved to not see that whip this time today. Also, there seems to be, if you've noticed, there's no sign of change anymore. So obviously whatever that change was that they were going through, both Mew and Gulf, it's already happened, I would say. I would say it's already happened. So that's a good thing as well. Change can only be a good thing in line of progress. Mountain. Oh gosh, that's... Oh. Put a bit more in line there. Where am I going? Here. Coffin, that's still not all the cards. What are we missing? Heart. Must be in the other... Yep. Heart. A bouquet. And what else? Oh no, I have bouquet. Man, silly. Man. Man is what I want. There. And woman, wasn't it? Oh, oh dear. Woman fell down. Man, woman, my ways of having to try and have everything as perfect as possible. Did I get this heart gone? I had it. Where's heart gone? That full? No. Where did heart go? Oh my goodness, heart's missing. Is that a sign? Do you think that's a sign, guys? Gulf's heart is missing? Maybe that means he's unavailable. His heart is not here, so he's unavailable. Oh, where's my chat gone? Oh, there it is. Good. Oh dear, where are you? Just pulled you out. There. Oh goodness. I put it in somewhere crazy. There we go. His heart is hidden right now. Possibly even to the person he loves. He may not be open at this point in time, let's say, to a relationship, even with them, because it comes with boundaries, with conditions that he'll only accept. Let's say he'll only accept Mew back if he comes already healed, already, you know, gone through his spiritual awakening, because then, only then can Gulf be sure that he won't get hurt, in a sense. Okay, whoops. Oh. Key, we got the key again. That's like what I just said is the key. Mew has to go through his spiritual awakening first. And this even goes like, let's say Mew and Gulf have been in touch this whole time, etc. This is saying that Mew still isn't fully healed from his burnout a long time ago. He still needs to do a lot of inner work. He still needs to go deep within and realign himself so that he can know what to do, so that he can find the wisdom to make the changes necessary in his life right now. Okay, so tarot's down here already. Oh, let me put this book back. Okay. No, not today. I was thinking, should I use my new tarot deck, but it's very complicated. The tarot deck I was considering, it's very complicated. Oh, the video's gone frozen. What's going on there? What's happened? Hang on, guys. Let me just... How long has that been frozen? I thought of Tool's mum as well. See, that's sad. Mew is displaying everything and Gulf is just waiting for him. I'd take Gulf more into consideration. It's not up to me. It's not up to us. It's just what's happening. Whether Gulf chooses to wait for Mew or not, that's his decision, isn't it? And it's to do with him and what fate has in store, what destiny has planned for him, so... Yeah, we're still live. Oh! No! I wonder why my video has frozen. You can still see me in this one. What's happened to my video? Maybe this is a sign they don't want me to do tarot today. Let me just check the properties quickly, guys. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not what I meant to happen. I've lost connection with my camera. Okay, hang on. Let me just disconnect the camera and see if that helps. Ah, there we go. We're back, yay. Okay. Whew. That was close. Oh, whoa. Oh, too big. Hang on. Bear with me, guys. Alright. There we go. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Alright. You can still see me? Okay, well, for some reason my video is frozen on my screen, so I fixed it now anyway. Alright, so let's get on with the tarot reading. So, let's start with Mew as usual. So, how is Mewsuppasit currently feeling towards Gulfkanawut? Hello there, Goldie. Long time no see. How is Mewsuppasit feeling towards Gulfkanawut right now? Goodness, couldn't get that out.